There are so many beautiful benefits to homeschooling, and so I'm going to present an argument for you on why I think it is one of the greatest things that you will ever do for your child, even if you have doubts, even if you're unsure. And I want you to know that as you're about to pull your kids out of school or you're homeschooling for the first time, that kindergartner, I want to remove a little bit of fear, questions, and doubt, and give you the beautiful things that you're going to get and gain from this journey as a family. If you're new around here, my name is Cecily, and I have been homeschooling for 7 years. I have a 6th and 5th grader this upcoming year, a nearly 1-year-old, and we will be joined by baby number 4 soon. Number one reason to homeschool is time and relationship connection with your children, with your family. Homeschooling gives you this precious time to build deep relationships and connection. And it's something that, as I look back on rounding off just our elementary years and moving into the next season, I realize I don't regret 1 minute of. Of course, there are studies that show that children who spend more time with parents, they build secure attachment, develop stronger trust and connection with their family, and feel more understood and seen by them. But scientific studies aside, this time together fosters such a sense of belonging and strengthens those family bonds, which is so important for our children's emotional health, that homeschooling just allows more time for that, more time to understand one another, more time to watch your children grow in their interests and in what lights them up as they're discovering new things and learning about the world around them. You really truly get to be a witness and see, wow, my child has an affinity for this specific thing. And not only in education, but also in their interests and hobbies and things like that. Of course, there are days where everyone has had enough of each other and you need space. We lived in an RV together for a season. Try doing that. You have to deal with one another. But that's what creates those strong bonds. That's what creates that strong connection. Any relationship can tell you that the time that you're together builds up beautiful things, but it also reveals things we need to work on, communication issues that are at hand, and then having the time to address those in a more slow setting, because we're not in a hurry to move on to the next subject or to get out the door. We can take our time and push pause and deal with those things. Time together is something that you can never get back, and yet it is something that homeschool gives you the greatest gift of. All right, benefit number 2 of homeschooling is that you can create a personalized educational plan for your child. Every single child has unique needs, specific strengths and weaknesses that we need to account for as their parents, whether that is something like dyslexia or ADD, or just a child who is very easily bored in a traditional school setting and needs their mind stimulated in totally different ways, to a child who does best learning through kinesthetic and hands-on approaches rather than sitting down for 8 hours all day. There are endless numbers of ways I have seen parents personalize education for their particular child. If your child is excelling in math but needs a little bit more help and encouragement with reading and writing, you can tailor that they move ahead in one subject or one area and get the help that they need in another, and slow down. This adaptability ensures that your kids' learning and education is always on pace for where they need to be. And this really allows them to grow deeply in knowledge rather than just speeding by, studying for a test and trying to pass it in time and then moving on and never really truly understanding the things that they're learning. Okay, reason number 3 that homeschooling might be a great fit for your family is refining character. And one of the really big things I had to understand and learn about not just coming home and doing school at home was that I am educating, I am raising an entire being, an entire child, a mind, body, and soul that is all part of this education system. One of the first things that I learned early on as a homeschool mom was that character will always triumph over curriculum, which means we can push pause on this math if we're dealing with a hard attitude or some sort of emotions that are sitting at the top. And so when I'm saying, hey, let's do some memory work, and they're dwelling on something painful, such as a move we had, that we need to push pause and take time and address, okay, what's going on? And a child who goes to a different type of school system really has to kind of push that in and suppress that and get the work done. There are times where you're gonna say, no, this isn't happening, we need to focus, we're not dealing with this. because maybe they just don't want to do the work. But again, you get to discern as teacher, as mom, as dad, what is happening right now and how do we address it? And do we need to push pause on the curriculum and deal with the character of this child and mold their heart toward goodness and beauty and love and the virtues that we find important in our family? This means homeschooling gives you time to create discipline of good habits, of good character traits. So when we homeschool, we get to focus on virtues. This might look like empathy or perseverance, integrity, and values to incorporate into those things. All right, for me, one of the greatest reasons to homeschool is read aloud time. Reading aloud with our children is such a beautiful thing for so many reasons. And if you want to know more about to raise children who love to read, I have a whole video on that. I'll link below. But there is nothing like cozying up on the couch with our children, starting from birth and just reading to them. But it is so hard to find the time for that, especially when I'm nursing and having babies and those kinds of things. However, this simple activity of reading aloud to our children throughout their entire childhood at home, even the teenage years, has profound benefits. I mean, reading aloud enhances vocabulary, it boosts comprehension, it improves listening skills, teaches them how to listen and respond, verbalize what they're hearing. But more than all of those awesome scientific benefits, the bonds and kind of inside conversations and inside jokes it creates is just priceless. And think about the times we read through the Little House series, the Green Ember series, beautiful historical novels. In fact, on my channel, I talk a lot about book reviews and things like that. So if you want to check out some of our book reviews, you can. It's really something we have to teach. And not all children are necessarily going to gravitate and become bookworms. And so I have experienced different ends of that. So one of my goals as a mom is that they would be lifelong readers, so that they would be lifelong learners. And so making time for that is a huge benefit. Right? Number 5. Time for boredom and creativity. This is so important. As someone who personally struggles with go, go, go and always being excited about the next thing and tending to say yes too often or overschedule, I really had to learn in my adult life how to pull back and how to value my yeses and say no and be okay with disappointing people. And so giving that to our children, this can be an issue even in the homeschool world, where we do not set enough blank space, enough white space on our calendar to allow for boredom, which is so beneficial to creativity. When they are bored, this gives them the freedom to explore interests and hobbies. It enhances creativity. Unstructured time is very beneficial for strengthening problem-solving skills, fostering imagination. My kids have said to me so many times, I'm bored. And then sure enough, sooner or later, I find them writing a little book or building a fort outside or doing something to deal with that boredom. And I really find that the best way to cultivate that is to let them be bored. Reason number 6 to homeschool is time to be outside. You will get more time to be outdoors. And nature is an incredible classroom. Again, there are science-backed reasons such as vitamin D. Being outside lowers cortisol levels, which means lowering stress. It improves mood, it provides physical activity. It's a really good, engaging way for children to learn about the world around them, to learn about their own bodies and their balance and problem-solving skills. And yet we put children in a room and give them a recess break and call that good enough. And I just find that we as humans were made to interact with the nature around us, made to be in the sun. You can take your school outside. You can go on nature walks, let your children be in nature. And if you have not experienced the mind shift, the attitude change, when you take a child who is frustrated inside working on something and put them outside, it's miraculous. They're very big in this house on grounding or earthing. I have an entire video on the benefits of doing that and why our family does. Benefit number 7 of homeschooling is building family memories that last a lifetime. Homeschooling has the unique ability to allow so much extra time together, and that extra time is going to turn into future memories that I don't think as young homeschooling moms we realize it's going to be beautiful to discuss when our children come back into our home as adults. I'm already starting to witness some of that, even though my kids are obviously still in the home, as they talk about their young little sisters starting homeschool in the next few years and thinking about, are they gonna do this, what we did? Are they gonna read these books that we did? Even my oldest daughter is like, oh, I really wanna teach their kindergarten class. What I never knew by homeschooling was that we are going to have memories and bonds I never experienced as a child. Core connections that were made during those years. It could be from field trips to time around the table to cooking that new meal, helping dad build his first chicken coop. Like, there are so many things that are creating this beautiful tapestry of memories and shared experiences that they're going to have for a lifetime. There's the time it gives you, but then what comes from that are the memories that you get to cherish that can never be taken from them, that can never be taken from you, and will impact their own homes in the future when they're raising their own families and children. They will look back on and have. Okay, reason number 8 to homeschool is organizing family time, aka flexibility. Homeschooling gives you so much flexibility depending on what season you are in. Maybe you're welcoming a new baby, like I am again at the start of this school year. Maybe you're planning some trips and vacations. Maybe you want to RV as a family. Maybe you want to join a co-op or spend more time helping take care of family members or be with grandparents. Whatever the situation is, maybe you or your loved one has a crazy work schedule, and that means you need to homeschool a little differently. The benefit of homeschooling is that you can adjust your schedule to fit your family's unique needs. This just really allows, again, our children to get a deeper understanding of the world. We're educating an entire person, not just a brain. And so when I'm welcoming a new baby, my children are learning that this other vulnerable, tiny human has needs, or sometimes they can be helpful with those needs. It really allows them to mature and take on new roles. It also means that we can switch heavier subjects to nap times and things like that. When we lived in an RV and they wanted to spend a huge chunk of their time outside, they were very quick to get up and get their work done quickly because they wanted the majority of their day to be outside, and that is totally fine too. So you have a huge benefit of organizing your time and trying to get your brain to think outside of an 8 to 5, 9 to 3 type of day structure. When you remove those constraints, you really open up the opportunity for being creative with how you want your life, your schooling, your education to look. Reason number 9 to homeschool is incorporating more family values. The integration of your family's beliefs and morals into their everyday life with education helps them to develop a strong moral compass, also a strong sense of identity, and who am I, who is my family, who are we, and what are our principles that guide us in life. Really incorporating that compass into the narrative of their daily education is so valuable. For us, this looks like our Christian belief system. In Deuteronomy 6:6-8, scripture says, we shall teach our children diligently when we sit in our house and when we walk by the way, when we lie down and when we rise up, throughout our entire day, meaning everything we're aiming toward, everything we're doing is pointing us back to the Lord. But also there's just wisdom because we are older and we are parents, and we can help our children understand when you put in the time now, your future self will thank you. It's values, it's morals, it's our belief system that you really get to incorporate deeply into the education process, into everyday living when you homeschool. And finally, number 10, building real life skills. I'm not saying you can't do this through a regular school system. I'm saying you get a lot of time, a lot of hands-on ability to build real life skills in the home, on outings, when you homeschool, because your kids are with you all the time. From cooking, to budgeting, to doing their own laundry, which they have been doing as long as they could, probably since 6. We can incorporate practical life lessons throughout the day. We all know how valuable these skills are because we've all become adults and had to take them on ourselves. Or we've been around adults who just seem like big kids living on their own. I don't want to cook every single day, multiple times a day. There are times where I am just tired and I don't want to do it. But teaching our kids that there are going to be things that nobody really wants to do, but we do it anyway. They don't really want to pick up dog poop, and neither do I. But we care for the things around us, and that is both a value of ours and a skill. Can you make a proper meal? Or at least fill your body with nutrient-dense food that is very simple? Do you know how to manage money? Skills that are going to benefit them, that often don't get taught in school that I don't want my children to miss out on. And that includes how to be a functioning adult that is a great partner in a relationship one day. And my goal as a mom is to kind of work myself out of a job, right? Like, as soon as my kids are able, they can take on the things that I've been doing for them for years. Right now I have a baby and I'm gonna have another baby. I don't expect them to do any of those things. I expect to feed them and love them and care for them and bathe them and clothe them and all of those things. And as my kids get older, my job is to make sure that they can manage those things on their own. And it gives them this really strong sense of independence and confidence and identity of like, this is my part, this is my role. Of course, they're gonna complain at times. Of course, they're gonna be frustrated. But really, when it just becomes part of the home and the household, it just kind of becomes second nature. You know, my kids just wake up and, oh, I'm gonna unload the dishes. Oh, I'm gonna make sure on this day we get my laundry done. It's not really even a discussion after so long of just, this is what we do. This is just what we do. We have to get up and take care of our chickens because they feed us eggs and we want to care for them. Building real life skills for real world success. I think one of the most important overall themes is that we have to remember we are nurturing souls. We are not just teaching subjects. We are not just teaching little robots, which means we need to nurture ourselves as well, because we really cannot pour from an empty cup. We need to fill our cups and be filled to overflow. And so go ahead and check out my video, 10 ways to practice self-care without spending a dime, because homeschool is not free, and take care.